You know, one thing that I think that's been consistent in my life since I was a kid was just like a desire and a passion to want to know more about the world and myself. Since I was like younger, I've always kind of been interested, to a more minute degree as a kid, but I think I've always been interested in just, life's biggest questions, things like who are we, what happens to us when we die? How did we get here? Like, what is the purpose of life? What is it all about? And it wasn't until the pandemic hit in 2020 that I realized that there's an actual profession, that there's actually a discipline and a study for this, and that's called philosophy. So, like I've briefly mentioned before, the pandemic was one of the most like nonsense times for me in my life, for lack of a better words, man. Like, I would wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom, eat food, and then come back in my room and just like watch YouTube videos all day and night, bro. It got to such a bad degree, like I would be in my room doing this for hours on end. And I remember at one point I did not go outside for months, right? But when I finally decided to go outside for a walk, bro, I could hardly see. Everything was so blurry, I think because I had the screen like this close to my eyes all day every day, to the point where I could hardly see, bro. I remember like I was walking I was approaching the end of a sidewalk, and there was a stop sign. Like, I was like, what, 3-4 feet away from the stop sign, but I could not make out the words. Like, I know it said stop, it was kind of blurry, but yeah, I couldn't like fully make out the words on the stop sign. I couldn't fully read the words. So all that to say, man, COVID was not a very useful time for me. However, the biggest blessing in all of COVID was me finding that philosophy is like a legitimate thing out there. I can't remember how I came across it, but one day I think I was just on my phone scrolling on YouTube, and then I see a video with some philosophical title, and I clicked it, and then that video led to another, and that led to another and another, man. And ever since then, this thing has completely changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, not just the way I live my life, but the way I think, the way I feel about myself, the way I feel about the world around me. Like, philosophy genuinely, I'm not even just saying this, but philosophy has genuinely changed my perspective on the world, because it allows you to see things. It's almost like it allows you to see the real world, like reality in its most pure form, you know what I mean? You start to realize that some of the things that you were taught growing up are either false or they're more nuanced than the way you were taught them. It's almost as if like my whole life in many ways was covered with this veil, and when I started learning philosophy, that veil got removed, and it's just impacted my life in so many positive ways, man. Like, I literally cannot think of one negative feature that has come as a result of learning philosophy, bro. It's been a game changer. So in this video, what I want to do is kind of talk a little bit more about my journey with philosophy and why you should study it, bro. No matter who you are, it is relevant to all of our lives. It's implied in all of our lives in many ways, which I'm going to describe. For one, yeah, let's just start with that, man. Philosophy, a lot of people hate on it, right? A lot of people would be like, oh, you study philosophy, what job are you going to get after college? There goes that train. Ignore that, but a lot of people will hate on philosophy, man. And that's not true at all, you know what I mean? That's only a very small portion of the story, In reality, philosophy is implied in almost everything that we do in life, and a lot of the values we hold, the things we believe. Philosophy is implied, and I'm gonna explain how. Take even your most basic beliefs, right? Say beliefs about morality, things about the good and the badness of the world, right? Things of evil and of goodness. We all believe that, or most of us, the vast majority of us throughout all of history, believe that there are certain things that are good and certain things that are bad. But the question is, and this is a valid question, it's an inevitable question, it's a fundamental question. The question is, how do you know that's true, or what makes your moral system better than another person's, You might think that X is wrong, but why is it wrong? Is it wrong because it harms someone? Is it wrong because of other reasons? Like, why do you come to the beliefs and positions that you hold? And even more fundamental than that, like, why do we assign value to certain things in life? Why do we assign value to the car we have, or the clothes, or relationships, and this and that? Whatever the answer is, it's based on reason. It's some kind of thinking, some kind of reasoning that one has to get to the answer to those questions, those legitimate fundamental questions. Like, for whatever reason, you may think it's bad to punch someone for just for fun, which I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just trying to take you through the train of thought here. But for whatever reason you think a thing is good or bad, there's a whole series of reasoning, whether you realize it or not, that allows you to think that thing is good or bad. Or even in a lot of the things that you study in school, if you're somebody in school watching this video, whether that be the sciences, things within medicine and specific, like literally whatever it is, it's all built upon a series of assumptions that are made about the world, things that we think that are true about the world, ways of reasoning. You know, at its very core, that's what philosophy is. A lot of people will be confused about what philosophy is, you know what I'm saying? We hear the word thrown around all over culture, you know what I'm saying? This is my philosophy, this is their philosophy. But what philosophy really is, bro, it's just reasoning. Simple as that, bro. Reasoning, that's philosophy. Now, what makes it complex, or what can make it complex, is the degree of reasoning, right? You can have your basic form of reasoning, and you can have more advanced forms of reasoning. And one of the reasons why people shy away from philosophy is because they look at that more advanced form of reasoning like something a professor might do. They're like, oh, philosophy sucks, it's boring. But at the end of the day, the very reasoning that you do on a daily basis regarding things of value and judgment and opinion, they all have philosophical opinions. They all have assumptions or assertions that you're making about the nature of reality, bro. So yeah, at its very core, that's what philosophy is, man. It's reasoning. So don't shy away from it, man. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I'll be able to convince you by the end of this video, but it's implied in your daily life, whether that be to a basic level in your daily life or to a more advanced level, it being something you study academically. You know, it's really interesting. This is very much so the case with Gen Z. It's the case with, I think just the state of the world is that a lot of us have opinions, bro. Everyone has opinions on a given matter, man, whether that be a personal matter, a social matter, a political matter, especially those last two, social and political matters. And when you ask a lot of people why it is that they believe what they do, whether that be social matters, political matters, religious matters, what you'll often find is one of two things, or both actually, a lot of times. Is one, those opinions are simply based on feelings, because this thing feels right, because this thing seems right, like purely anecdotal or simply intuitive. Or people will have opinions and beliefs based on what another group or another person is believing. But if you ask a lot of people who are like this, why it is that they hold those beliefs, they'll be like, not having reasoning or explanation as to why. Nothing greater than an emotion or a feeling to hold that position. What philosophy does, it does not allow you to do that, bro. And I'm not saying that there is no place for, feelings or emotions, but what philosophy does, it allows you to hold on to something stronger, something more objective. Philosophy can be subjective, but many times, depending on the subject matter, it allows you to hold on something more firm, and that's reason. You know what I mean? It's all about getting to the truth, not in an emotional fashion or in a fashion to defeat another person in an argument. It's really, if the person doing the philosophy is coming with a pure intention, is genuine, it's all about getting to the truth, man. That's the prioritization there. So in that way, with philosophy, you're able to come forth, put your feelings to the side, and use reasoning, which many times is not even many times, which is oftentimes independent of the way we feel, leading you to a more objective answer. You know what I mean? Because yeah, man, it's really important. No matter how passionate you are about a subject, you need to be able to back it up with some sort of evidence or reasoning or thinking. So yeah, man, I think that'd be so great if this generation could just take up on prioritizing that reasoning and thinking. I think the world would be a very different place. So go study your philosophy, bro. And in general, more broadly speaking, philosophy truly just teaches you how to think, bro. It teaches you how to systematically think. It teaches you that, okay, on a process of getting to idea X, I need to think about this, then that, and I need to relate all of them together. It's like going to the gym, We go to the gym, a lot of us, to make our muscles bigger, right? I think the more and more you study philosophy, the more and more it strengthens your brain, strengthens your mind. If you've ever been one who struggles with thinking of new ideas or even creativity, I think studying philosophy, learning how to reason in a systematic fashion or maybe in a relatively more informal fashion it can make a difference in your life. Like, it's actually really funny. Last semester I was having an argument with a friend, right? And I had to literally write on the board the logic of his argument. And you know what I'm saying, you don't need to do that. You don't need to take it to that extreme of a degree. But all that to say that this stuff translates to everyday argumentation too. Like, in arguments, we often let our emotions get the best of us, not really reasoning, just going with what feels right and just trying to destroy the other person. But one of the great things about philosophy and its ability to make you think is that it teaches you how to break down arguments, whether it be something as simple as like a dinner time arguments that come from relationships, or even more complex things like social or political arguments. It teaches you how to break down arguments, bro, and how to address them in a reasonable way that's actually going to do something, if the other person is receptive to reasoning and thinking, which as a human being you should be. It's just amazing, man. I think one of the things I really love about philosophy the most too is I think it addresses the things that are just truly, truly, truly important. Maybe the things that are the most important in all of life. On a day-to-day basis, we go about thinking about, how am I going to pay the next bill? Or how am I going to impress this person? How am I going to do this and that? Just the normal human struggles, you know what I'm saying? But philosophy is more fundamental than that. It's addressing the things that maybe we don't talk about on a daily basis, but everything that you worry about, none of that would exist if not for these fundamental philosophical things. Like, you would not be worrying about your bills or your car or this and that if there was not a world at all in the first place. And the question is, how or why is there a world in the first place? That's the first question that should rightly be asked. Truly important. And yeah, man, like this thing has helped me immensely again, man. Philosophy has helped me immensely. Just being able to think, in high school, I was one of those kids in class who was just quiet, bro. Like, I was just there to do the work and to leave. But ever since studying philosophy, like, it's just become so much easier to connect this idea and that idea that don't seem to relate at all, to just combine them and to mesh them and to just form new ideas, bro. It's almost like doing math, like taking two different numbers and forming a whole new number. And because of that, I've been able to participate like significantly in a lot of my classes in school here in college, and that's had a profound impact in not just developing my thinking, but just the way I view the world and myself, man. Like I said, once you start thinking more, once your mind becomes more open, once you start realizing that reality is far more nuanced than you might have once thought, it's just a game changer, bro. It's like you really start to feel like a whole new person. I think also in terms of speaking, in high school, I was not a good public speaker, but I think as time has gone on, I think I'm decent, I'm saying? Not too shabby. Definitely still got a lot of things to work on, but I think a lot of things have been improved because I've been able to think better, because my ideas flow better. There's just something about being in that deep contemplative state about like just reality, just about life that gives you more life. So yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, this video, like, I had a few bullet points written. I probably follow like 2 of them. I just went all over the place just because I love philosophy so much, man. It's changed my life, and I would really highly recommend you get into it too. In terms of how exactly you can get into philosophy, I mean, there are a number of ways. I think one of the best things to do in the beginning, just because it's a bit easier to read, I would say, is just go back and look at the ancient philosophers. You know what I'm saying? People like Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, and look at what they were doing. Read some of their works, because some of those works, especially the ones from Plato, are written in dialogue form, so they're easier to follow. And again, they just address some of those most fundamental things, and they're actually fun to read. And like in the age of social media today, man, YouTube is big, bro. Like, watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos about philosophy, you know what I'm saying? Take a philosophy class. Do what you need to do, man. Because at the end of the day, man, this thing is not only going to open up your entire world, but it truly is a mental exercise, bro. It's just going to give you this feeling of being smarter, man. I don't even know. But yeah, man, just a few thoughts on the matter. Go and study your philosophy, man. It'll change your life, as it definitely changed mine too. All right, I'll see you on the next one.